Let's pull up this story here from the Daily Mail.
It's because of the left.
All these stories
they haven't acted nuts.
The Daily Mail is where it's at.
I mean, they've written up every single thing, and they've got photos of everything when it comes to this story. Very few outlets are covering the Antifa terror attack. Poor little rich boy smirking suspected Antifa goon who helped attack Georgia Cop City, a son of NYC plastic furniture tycoon. He and his 22 cronies appear in court on terror charges. So not only are these people, many of them from out of state, some international, they're rich kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here's... Go ahead.
No, I was going to... Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, this is another example of... It ties into the earlier conversation. I didn't comment on it. The biggest problem I have right now is a two-tier system of justice. And that's the biggest argument we need to advance. Not the QAnon, Shannon, whatever that guy's name is, or certain videos depicting X, Y, and Z, but use it as a vehicle to say, look at how differently you can be treated by the justice system in the United States of America, depending on your political orientation. Go back to the Antifa riots of, not last summer, but the summer before that. Two liberal attorneys, white shoe lawyers, firebombed a New York City police car and burned it to the ground with Molotov cocktails.
And the judge called him a good guy.
Good guy. Federal. So they were charged, obviously, rightfully so. As a federal prosecutor, a federal public defender who defended people who did that stuff, that's a 10-year minimum mandatory federal prison sentence. You know what this DOJ did? Waived the charges, allowed the judge to go under the midman, and gave him basically probation. That's a two-tier system of justice. Mark my word, it's going to happen with this.
So Ian just a moment ago said that he's finding himself becoming more conservative. But I think the reality is, in today's politics, conservative just means knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Because like
I'm not more pro-life or any. I mean, not
right.
really.
The opinions of everyone in this room are not in complete alignment on core policy issues. They're in alignment on the facts. That's it.
Yeah, it's the mobs attacking people that it's kind of my main issue. I don't like that stuff. I found that video, if you guys want to pull it up, from Yalen. I typed attack restaurant in Twitter and it popped up.
How do you pronounce it? I mean, how do you spell that?
The Twitter account is YCINNEW.
I found it.
Yeah.
Tim, to your point, we live in the logic.
We'll pull that up in a second.
We live in the logic of Herbert Marcuse. I've said this a bunch. It is. We live in the logic of the left is okay to do whatever they want, and the right must be censored even at the level of thought.
But how?
And it's because people are scared of the left. That's
Cash, I fully agree with you. But how do we do that? I mean, I guess since the dawn of time, I imagine the king's enforcement arm doesn't prosecute him because. And as a leader, when are you going to be like, I'm under arrest? Like no leader, whatever that I've ever heard of, would do that to themselves. But how would we do that? How would we prevent multiple tiers of justice from coexisting in a system?
Okay, it's a massive overhaul. One, you have to control the executive branch of government, install an attorney general and the layers below him to eliminate prosecuting people based on religious orientation or political orientation, like the rescinded FBI memo from last week that showed that the FBI was literally targeting Catholics. In order to do that, you have to wipe out the FBI. I've always said this, the best way, and wipe out the FBI, I mean the FBI headquarters component, right? The biggest problem in government is these monster headquarters components. The FBI headquarters building is the size of a New York City square block. What I would do if I was FBI director in the next Trump administration is close down the Hoover building and make it a free monumental museum for the deep state on how not to run government and allow the world to go there for free. I'm not saying you don't need 50 people running the FBI. You do. But you take the 10,000 agents that are stuck there and their lawyers and you send them into the field to investigate child sex crimes, bank robberies, cartels, fraud. And you do the same thing with the DOJ headquarters building, which is just across the street and just as big. Why do you need 5,000 lawyers in one place telling you how to not do something or how to politically motivate your bosses and get them something that they just want? I worked with all these guys. All these guys that are producing these charges at DOJ for Jan 6 are literally people that I used to work with who have sent me subpoenas for January 6th. Literally sent me to the grand jury asking me about why I helped participate in X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, dude, I was literally there with you prosecuting terrorists, and you're doing this because I've been labeled a Trump guy, and you need to make yourself look good in front of your boss. You have to wipe out all of this personnel.
Charlie Kirk said the similar thing about the RNC, decentralizing it, getting that big central, because what they do is they have lunch meetings there, then they go over on K Street and they hang out, and they all had a little cabal that forms because it's so easy. But if they were far away from each other, then it becomes a challenge to collaborate.
But you also make people do look. 98% of the guys I served with at the FBI want to go out and chase bank robbers and chase down terrorists and take out people who are harming children and reduce the drug trade. There's a couple of bad actors, and you got to eliminate them.
The problem is they want to go after terrorists, but then the upper level, like the top floor, is telling them that American Catholics are
And they
terrorists.
go along with
And that's why you have to wipe
yeah.
out both.
Look.
You have decentralized, wipe out not just the upper level. It's not just the AG and the director.
Abolish, demolish the building.
You got
It's-
to do the undersecretaries, the chiefs,
but
and everything else.
If these people are willing to go along with it, they're part of the problem.
I totally agree, and they shouldn't be in there. I mean, this is the genesis of my book, Government Gangsters, which this government won't let me release right now. But the whole point is you can go out there, whether it's DOD, NSA, CIA, FBI, and I take flack for this all the time. And I'm like, yeah, it is not an easy fix. But there used to be a day when the FBI was just the FBI and DOJ was just the DOJ, prosecuting based on facts and law, and not politics and religion.
I saw a video this morning. So I wake up and what was it? I think I got a clip sent to me by Seamus of Freedom Tunes, and it's a funny Fauci cartoon. And then as soon as the cartoon ends, it rolls over to another video of police pulling over a 19-year-old football player and falsely charging him with a DUI. And you can even see after he blows the breathalyzer and the body camera footage, it says 000. Why did they do that? Why did this 19-year-old kid who was watching a football game, driving home, who did nothing wrong other than he had a headlight out, so he had his brights on. It's like a normal thing. It happens to people. Your lights go out, so you're like, well, I'll turn the brights on. Why charge him with a DUI? And so the problem is, I see things like this, that a police officer falsely accuses a teenager of a DUI, and the police will run in terror like pathetic whiny crybabies when Antifa sets fire to their building in Minnesota. They won't arrest these people. We can watch a video of 150 Antifa firebombing a government facility.
Sure.
And of course, there were 20 to 30 people getting arrested. But when you look at Portland, the cops just sit there and go, well, oh gee. But we see, why is it that we have too many instances of police giving up BS tickets and making false arrests, but we don't have too many videos of cops just arresting Antifa?
Well, now at least this thing in Georgia, I love this situation. I hate it because it was a horrible thing to firebomb a group of people, to firebomb a police facility. But it was great that they responded not by murdering people or not by killing.
I love you.
Good save.
But by issuing 35 arrests and
Sure.
charging 23 people. Like, that's the way. The COVID hysteria is over for the most part. Now it's like, in fact, I think in one city, the governor or the mayor Adams in New York was saying, take your masks off before you go shopping. I don't want you going in there threatening thuggery.
He said stores have to tell people to remove their masks.
Irony of ironies?
Jeez,
The mayor
that
of
is-
New York City is saying, take your mask off.
I have to wonder, Cash, if everything I said before about people being too stupid, it's in fact that the leadership is as stupid, right?
Of course.
The leadership is the leadership is evil. They're not stupid. There's a distinction.
Yeah.
I've worked with all of these people. They are pure evil. The only thing the Pelosi's and the Schumers and the like care about in the world is being glorified in the media. That's it. What's my next headline? What's my next payday? How do I scam the stock market with my husband? How do I come out on top and be Speaker of the House for more than basically a decade? That is the tract that people come in behind them on and saying, I want to be the next her. I want to be the next him. They are evil. That's the problem. The people that follow them, yes, stupid.
I love that bit.
You mentioned term limits earlier, Phil, before the show got started. Do you think that would solve or at least disincentivize evil?
Term limits on the bureaucracy. I think the bureaucracy is the problem. I think that the elected officials are not. I think the elected officials are self-centered and self-serving, and that they mostly do things to benefit themselves. I think that the bureaucracy is where the real power is, and I think the bureaucracy is the biggest problem in the United States.
Like the head of the FBI, term limits?
Any of the alphabet soup agencies. So your EPA, your FBI, your CIA, your ATF, your FDA, your all of them. The reason is because they make law. They make rules that have the effect of law with no repercussions from the population, from the voting populace. So we talk about how it's important that we're we're a democracy, but the people that make the rules that you live by on a day-to-day basis are almost always unelected. So the The government will decide we want to pass this law, and then whatever agency that has jurisdiction over the law or whatever the topic is, they will make the actual rules and the details to implement the law. So that's a whole layer of legislation creation that the population basically doesn't have any access to, has no ability to punish them if they do something wrong.
So what you're talking about is like the beef patty of your burger.
Yeah,
that's the
100%.
beef patty of the deep state. I agree. That's a novel concept that a lot of people aren't talking about. The FBI directors and CIA directors all have term limits. They're gone with every administration, right? Some should be shorter. That's a different argument. But these people that you're talking about are the ones that sit there and say, I don't care who the leader is. I'm going to do what we want to do, what the political radical left agenda is, because it's the popular one. And they stay and convince the leadership to do it and goose it through the system. That was one of the biggest problems in the Trump administration.
And one more thing to your point is it's not just, I understand and I agree that there are evil people, but there's also something that Tim talks about, the banality of evil. There are people that just go to work and want to go and make sure that they can go on vacation with their wife, and they want to just make sure their kids can go to school and get a good education, and they come out of school and they can get good jobs for themselves, and they just want to live a normal life. So what they want to do is go to work and not make waves. And you know what makes waves? Voting for Donald Trump.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.